Today I have set before you life and prosperity, death and adversity. That's what the writer of Deuteronomy begins with. And later our writer says, choose life. Now I don't know about you, but that seems to be a logical choice, given life or death, to choose life. And yet I wonder how often we make the choice that is not life-giving. To begin with, I want to make it very clear that God has already chosen us. We do not choose God. God chooses us. God came to us, embraces us, claims us as God's own, in spite of what we have done, what we are doing, and what we will do. We know that through Jesus Christ we have been made right with God, and nothing at all can ever separate us from that love. Absolutely nothing. However, as the chosen people of God, we make a choice in how we live as the chosen people of God every day, and probably several times a day. Now, we as a nation love choice, don't we? You get to choose between paper or plastic, small, medium, or large, baked, mashed, or fried. You go to a cereal aisle, and you have got a myriad of choices. And now you have the same cereal that you could choose either by this brand, that brand, or the generic brand, but it is all the same cereal. We value choice in our society, and oftentimes when we feel stuck, it's because we think we no longer have a choice. Well, in our readings today, we are offered a choice. However, the choices are very different in nature. One choice brings life, the other choice does not. Now, what kind of choice is that, really? It's sort of like whether you choose to listen to your parents or not. One choice is going to be a good decision, and one choice is clearly not a good decision. But we're sort of given those choices here, and we know that every choice has a consequence. Our reading today tells us that to choose life means to live in God's covenant, to live with God's promise, to receive life. And to reject God, to reject the covenant, is to choose death. Now, it seems very clear to me, and it's all cut and dried and very simple. And yet, I don't know about you, but I think a lot of my choices are choosing death. God, the one who creates us and redeems us in love, desires us to live fully participating in community, to live abundant and satisfying lives. But what catches us off guard is sometimes we like to just live in the moment, to embrace the moment. And we find ourselves at that time choosing things that are not ultimately life-giving, even though they bring pleasure for that time. We choose things that meet our needs and our wants, that will meet them short-term, but ultimately just lead us back to the emptiness that we felt before. Now, in Israel's history, Israel would worship and live in covenant for a long time. And then as time would go by, they would sort of fall away and start worshiping other gods. And so the story is that God then would allow another nation to come in and capture them. And they would live under their rule for a period of time until they cried out to the Lord. And then God would raise a leader up, and they would live under God's covenant for a while until they didn't again. And they would start worshiping other gods, and then another country would come in and take over until they cried out to the Lord. They would start worshiping God. You see the cycle? Is that cycle the same as our cycle today as individuals? We sort of live in worship of God until we don't. And then we start making choices that are not life-giving. We gather here for worship. I assume because each of us choose to follow God, But then we will find ourselves as we leave this place that other priorities all of a sudden take over. We know there is one God, but yet we find ourselves worshiping other gods. Because a God is actually defined as whatever is ultimate, whatever takes priority in our lives, whatever it is that we put all our time, energy, and focus in. Can we truly say then that the one who creates us and redeems us, who promises to be with us always, who makes us his priority, is our priority all the time? Can we really say that the God of life is our priority all the time? Can we say that that God is our priority most of the time? Can we even say that it is our priority some of the time? When we think of all the other commitments we have, all the other goals, all the other dreams, do we still put God first? Do we make our life with God priority? Do we choose life? Now, I don't know about you, but I also find myself, only one self, find myself prioritizing elsewhere. Work, me. A couple of these I am embarrassed to admit, but you know them. Reality TV, pleasing others, wanting to make everybody else happy, and yes, sports. It's not that doing any one of these things is wrong or bad, but when it occupies my prime concern, when it is my total focus, when my time and my energy and my money are put into these things, I too have chosen other gods and have chosen death. Now for Moses, choosing life means to love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. To love your neighbor as yourself, to walk in God's ways, to keep the commandments, and you will truly live. You'll live with passion and joy and the blessings from God. But if you stray and refuse to listen to God, if you refuse to change your heart, you will worship other gods, and you are choosing death. So our choice is life and death, and that choice is always in front of us. Death is a slow process of giving ourselves over to things that really don't ultimately matter. We give in to things without purpose, we meet insignificant deadlines, and we strive for the small things in life that ultimately will mean nothing. Well, Jesus continues this message of life in the gospel and takes the commandments up a notch. Not only, Jesus says, does it say do not murder, do not physically take one's life. It means don't harm them with words, don't harm their reputation, don't hold on to anger. Not only does it say you will not commit adultery, meaning you will not just have marital relationships outside of the marital covenant, but it says don't objectify people for any reason. Honor what the Lord has created in love and respect. Do not hold to the law of no divorce. Instead, honor all relationships. Your yes needs to be yes, and your no needs to be no. Live with integrity. Be who you are. Be who you claim to be. Be who you were claimed to be. So we choose death or life, resentment or forgiveness, hate or love, selfish or selfless, keep or serve, lies or truth, worldly ways or God's covenant, life-sucking or life-giving, happiness or joy, more or content, take or give, me or we. God made the choice, and God's choice was to love us in spite of our ability to fall short so often, to fail to live in community, and to choose what is best for us. In Jesus, God redeems us and says, I love you, and opens God's arms to embrace us and to give us life everlasting. And in that being chosen by God, we have the choice to live God's covenant here on earth, to choose life or death. How might we choose life? We could enjoy the simple things, play with our children, laugh often and loud, Be patient with our own failings. Be patient with others' failings. Foster our relationships. Turn off the TV. Turn off the phone. Welcome someone you don't know. Give money to a cause you care about. Forgive. Apologize. Listen to your children. Listen to your parents. Actually talk. Reprioritize. Engage in worship. Invite others to worship. Retell the stories of Jesus. And read the Bible as a family. Now, at the end of your pews, on both sides should be a pad of little sticky notes. And I'm going to play the song called Choose Life by Big Tent Revival. And I'd like you to use at least one sticky note and write a way that you are going to choose life today. Maybe a way to choose life this week, one in which you will live as a claimed child of God. Because today God sets before us life and death, blessings and curses. And we are going to choose life.